So we have some thumbs to give. We have a big group, so we'll get right to it. Nate and Molly, the unsinkable Molly Cornion, will help me pass out thumbs. Let's give thumbs to Team Dream. First, the director, Luchina Fisher. Oh, you have it? Okay, let me see. And to those swimmers, Madeline Murphy Rabb. Madeline. Ann Smith. Down one. Oh, we're going to have Luchina's going to be right here. And to the swimming coach, Derek Milligan. We have a tradition at Ebertfest. We give golden thumbs. They're made by the same people who make the Academy Awards. That's why they feel so heavy. And it's a cast of Roger's thumb, actually. And I have to get a little sentimental for a minute because Madeline has been to Ebertfest before with her late husband, Maurice Rabb. And Maurice and Roger actually were kind of sick around the same time. And there was a point when Roger had no appetite and Maurice didn't have an appetite. And so Madeline and I would try to talk about, and Maurice and Roger loved each other and they loved talking about movies. And so we would have evenings where we would get together at each other's houses and just get the guys to try to eat and just get them interested in things. And Madeline, I thank you so much for that. Thank you. And Madeline's sons are here too. Chris and Maurice, will you stand up? And the other thing, well, let me strut a little bit on the stage now, because one of the reasons I wanted this here, because some of you have been coming for 25 years. So like me, you're 25 years older, and you know we still feel like we're 20 or 30, like we can do anything. I have lots of energy, you have lots of energy, but when I saw these ladies swimming, I can't swim well. I would never be in that. But Derek, when we get back to Chicago, I'm going to see you. Not only did they do things for swimming, but there's another thing that happens. After Roger died, and people said, you know, you may never find love again, you may never get married again, you may never do all of this, because women over 40 have a hard time. They say you're more likely to be struck by lightning than to find another mate. And let me tell you, this one here is a newlywed, Madeline, and her husband is back there, George Johnson. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And Rita Colburn, I don't know if she's still here, who directed that film, is also a woman of a certain age, and she's also a newlywed. So you women in the audience, if you're older like us, and you think, oh, and by the way, I have a boyfriend back there. Hi, Chris. That's a secret. Don't tell anybody. So there are so many things that you can do at any age. And I wanted to have the older generation, and I purposely put these two films together for the older generation and the younger generation of the Turner brothers and Max. We're going to bring them out. You've been holding these long enough. We'll take them back for you.
Thank you so
and we'll bring out, will you help me take these away? Let's bring out the Turner brothers, Justen and Julien Turner, the directors. Let me see, how many chairs? I think I'm here. Okay. You're gonna be right here. And let's bring out the producer of your film, Max Libman. We have a thumb for Max too. We'll take these back and give them back to you later. And rounding out our group is Dr. Doug Williams. Come out, Dr. Doug. Do we have other? Okay, let's see how we're going to do this today. Oops, oh, wow, oops. Let's not do it by going down there. All right, let's sit. And I want to start with Luchina. Do we have the other microphones out here? Luchina, tell me, why did you think it was important to make this film about older swimmers? And why did you make this film? And what does Queen Latifah have to do with this film?
Thank you for that question. I'm going to aim over here. So about maybe 3 years ago, Derek, who's a dear friend of mine, we've known each other 30-something years from my days of living in Chicago. I knew about Team Dream for years, and when he started it, and I watched it grow, and I was looking to pitch a film about 3 years ago, and he told me about Anne and Madeline, and I knew immediately. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. They became athletes in retirement, and I just thought, for me, I don't stop. And Derek had inspired me years ago to run the Chicago Marathon when I was in my 30s. And so I knew, what an inspiration he could be. And so I had pitched them for something else, and they passed on it, their loss. But when it came time for the Queen Collective, and they were looking for stories, and the Queen Collective was started by Queen Latifah about 5 years ago. She was talking with the head of marketing for Procter & Gamble. She used to be on CoverGirl, if you remember those days, and they have a long-term relationship. And so she was talking about images of Black people on screen, that it's pretty limited. And there are so many more stories in our families, our communities, and perhaps if we were telling those stories and had the opportunity to do that, we would see a diverse range of our experiences on screen. And Procter & Gamble said, okay, well, why don't you create that? And so Queen Latifah did, along with Tribeca Studios, which is responsible for the Tribeca Film Festival. And I pitched this almost a year ago. This time, I got the green light to make the film. And so I started filming with Anne and Madeline in Chicago, and then the games were in May of last year. So they're actually getting ready to go to the games again this year in Pittsburgh.
So,
Yeah.
Madeline, I was worried when I first saw this because it looked like I didn't know whether you were having a heart attack or what was happening. But then I saw that old competitive Madeline spirit come out. Tell us about that day.
Well, everybody wondered what was wrong with me when I started crying or when I was looking. I was just tired. And I was also thinking about wishing that I could have gone faster. And every time I go to the senior games, I have this illusion. It's an illusion, I think, that I will get a medal. But the fact is, the women we compete against are serious, serious competitors. And competing on the regional level is a little different than the national. It's the best of the best. But, I love competing, and I just give it my best.
And Anne, tell us, why did you decide to do this?
Well, I decided that I wanted to be an athlete because I was about 20 years before Title IX. So Title IX ensured that women in colleges and high schools would have a chance to compete intercollegiately. And so when I retired and I was in my 70s, I decided, I think I would like to be an athlete, and I think I'm going to start by being a triathlete. And so that's how I met Derek. And so I actually competed in 8 triathletes.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I decided to do it because I wanted to maintain good health until I'm in my 100s.
I'm actually directing my first film, and it's about a lady who's 100 years old. And she still lectures every week, every Wednesday, at a spa she started when she was 17 years old. It's called Rancho La Puerta in Tecate, Mexico, and she also started the Golden Door. She's 100 years old, and she's still going strong, so you can do it.
Yes, and I expect all of you to be there to see me.
I want to ask Derek, how did you start working with older people?
Well, because of the film, there's a misconception that Team Dream's only for older people. I used to say we go 17 to 77, then Ann and Madeline messed that up. So now it's sexy to say 18 to 88. But we'll come up with something for 100. I was doing triathlons in college. Then when I was a technology executive, I needed something just to manage stress, and I kept doing triathlons even though I didn't have enough time to train. And after doing an Ironman, I was like, wow, it'd be nice to introduce this to my community. And like ladies' night, you get the women, everybody else comes involved. And so we started Team Dream. One of the things I noticed was between my 2 grandmothers, they had 5 heart attacks, 2 strokes, and a pacemaker between them. They both died in their mid-80s, but the quality of life wasn't quite what they would have wanted. And so I actually watched both of them survive heart attacks in my early 20s and in the early 30s. And I said, maybe me doing this activity isn't just about having fun and being competitive. It might be an insurance premium. So that's why I went up to the Ironman level. When I started Team Dream, we got a contract with Dancing All Women's Triathlon series. We set up 25 athletes initially in February of 1989. They all crossed the finish line. And I kind of looked at it as a one-off, and they said, no, we want to keep doing this. And so they started telling not just people that they knew, they started telling people they loved. So we've had 3 tandems of grandmother, mother, daughter be part of Team Dream. We've had folks that train postpartum. One of my assistant coaches, he's a 21-year-old. I started coaching him when he was 2. His younger sister was in his mother's belly when she joined the team. So we have a lot of wonderful stories like that, and it seems like a way of promoting optimal health. If you're looking at optimal performance, are you going to be hit with lifestyle diseases as quickly and as frequently?
And I wanted to ask them just quickly, since you've been doing this swimming competitively, and I saw how important the exercise program is even before you hit the water, how have you seen any improvements in your health or in your overall well-being?
Oh, yeah. I think I'm healthier now than I've ever been in my life because I'm dedicated to exercise. I do yoga twice a week, which I find just wonderful. and I try to swim 3 times a week, and I eat healthy, and yeah, I feel strong. I think the best part of the exercise and the activities is just feeling strong and being able to stand tall and to have endurance, and also to influence other people. I mean, that's the benefit that I feel, being able to, because I have people say, what? You know, but it's not a big deal. It's part of who I have become. And I thank Derek for that, because he told me early on that I was an athlete. And it was like, wow. And so I cherish that.
That makes me think of Identity, the film we saw last night. How do you see yourself? He saw you as an athlete, and you became an athlete, and now you identify
I own it,
as an
yes,
athlete.
yes.
And how about
Right.
you?
I identify as an athlete because I am. But no, I'm, as a result of competing, I'm much stronger, and I call myself powerful. And I actually I enjoy the fact that my nieces and nephews and grandnieces and nephews admire me, and I serve as a role model for them. I mean, everybody should take care of their bodies, and so that they can continue to enjoy life no matter how old you are. And so I'm powerful.
My
Thank you.
grandchildren call me Gaga the Jock.
Gaga the jock. So let's come over to the other end here, to the Turner brothers and Max Libman, and tell us what you were. There were some things you gave us a little hints. I watched this film a little differently than when I first saw it, looking for the Easter eggs that were hidden throughout. But tell us why you made this movie and what it's really about.
Yeah, so we got the opportunity to shoot this project due to a program that Beats by Dre was doing. You know, this is 2020, COVID just hit and everybody was sent home. Justen and I were both sent home from school, and we were just kind of sitting around like fiddling our hands, and we were like, we need to do something. We found this project, applied, and the prompt was to really speak on the social economic state of the world. We found, you know, inspiration and parallels from what was going on at the time with the protests for George Floyd, and just the unrest that COVID had provided. And so part of it was to be able to tell a story that spoke on what was going on, and how you can be an ally for someone. And then, you know, we ran across this story about Bruce's Beach. Bruce, which is a family out in California, is a Manhattan beach, and it was a beach owned by a black family, and they had a lot of, it was a community token, and the city kind of took it from them. I think it was the KKK and a lot of the lawmakers came and they just kind of snatched the beach from them, and they ended up coming back and doing a swim-in. And this was in the 1910s, 1920s, and so we were like, well, what does that look like now? What does that look like in the future?
So as you can see, Julian's the writer and the concepter for our film. And when he brought me the first idea, they told us we had to get creative. We had to find a way to cover everyone's mouths. And he was like, let's just make everyone birds. What? I was so confused on how we were going to bring this to life. And so we just went back and forth a few times, and then I was starting to get it. And so we were like, let's go shoot it. And so what you see is very genre-inspired. We've always been inspired by superhero films and sci-fi, and so we wanted to combine all of that into social commentary. So there were, as the editor of our film, we had to go through a couple different revisions. It started out at like 15 minutes and got brought down to 7.5, and so it's a lot more fast-paced. So if you ever want to go back and watch it and see if you can catch more little Easter eggs within the dialogue and whatnot, we have captions on YouTube as well. So, yeah.
And Max, what made you decide to produce this film?
Yeah, well, so I showed it at my festival, which I founded 2 years ago. It's called CU International Film Festival. And I heard about the Turner Brothers through like a mutual friend. And I knew I had to reach out to them. And I started learning more about their projects. And I really encouraged them to submit this film. And it really responded well with the judges and the jurors. And it got selected to be shown at our festival. And I think one of the reasons we really wanted to show it was I thought it would appeal to the younger generation we were trying to target, because it's this kind of superhero sci-fi film, but it also has that kind of social justice. There's a message behind it, and I think that's something we really wanted to incorporate into our festival.
And I don't mean to embarrass Mr. Libman here, but he's a junior in high school, and he started this festival, and he gets all these people to come and do these things, and then he advocates on behalf of other people, and he's doing all the things that I want to see people doing in the world at this age. So thank you, Max.
This has just been inspiring. I just want to start definitely with the Luchia's, her work. First off, you're in a swimming area. There's some history here in Champaign I want to bring up, and that's who inspired me to swim more, and that was Irma Bridgewater of the Jazz Family. She added a lap to her routine into her 90s, and she lived to be 99, I think 6 months old as her mom was. She's a civil rights person. So you know the Bridgewater family from Cecil, as well as the jazz legend and still going Dee Dee Bridgewater. And there's a lot of connections to what you guys are doing, swimming, and it's so inspiring. I've shown documentaries or some work that was in the Indian Ocean where these Africans were swimming and diving with, I'm like, where's their lung capacity? How do they do this? And they're getting lobsters and things out. So that's just so inspiring, so nice, especially the art part too, your background, because my dad was at the Southside Community Arts Center as well too.
I knew your dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't want to belabor that, but I also want to say I was inspired by you guys' film, the Turner Brothers, as well as your work, Max, because they had such futuristic things. I'm a big Matrix fan, Total Recall. I could even see the Mamie Till's hat in terms of Emmett Till. I think there were some suggestions of that, which connects to our documentary on Marian Anderson and civil rights movement. So kudos to your work.
Thank you. So I wish that the shorts program, like I said, is sort of experimental this year, and so we won't be able to take questions from the audience. We had short films, we have a short Q&A, and we have to get ready for the next film, unfortunately, unless there's anything that anybody really would like to say before we leave the stage. I'd like to give you another opportunity.
Well, I would just say, because Team Dream is part of the Queen Collective, BET is also involved and as a partner. So for the people who aren't here and your friends and family members you want to tell about the film, they can find it on BET.com and stream it and share it with the world.
Awesome. Yeah, you can find our work at dreadheadfilms.com. We have a handful of short films, spanning from drama to comedy to sci-fi, and hopefully you'll see our debut feature film soon.
Oh. And I keep forgetting to thank the News Gazette. The News Gazette did an entire section where you'll find the bios of the filmmakers. You'll find the reviews of the films that we saw So make sure you take a copy of the News Gazette handout when you see it, and buy the newspaper too, because you should. All right, thank you everyone, thank you. Team Dream, thank you, Turner Brothers.